think I'm live. Hello, everybody. This is Elena of the Witches Box, and I'm here with our monthly live Witches Box Q&A for the Nest of Manifestation box. It's a lot of things to say. See, there's a couple of people here. It's been a long time since I've been here on YouTube. We haven't put up a video in a while. The last time I did a live was last month at this time because we're doing these Q&As for the Witches Box at the last Wednesday of each month. We're at the last Wednesday of January. I can't even believe that this is where we are. Still in the heart of winter. You know, it's a big deal for me, and so that's part of the reason why you have not seen, what is it, hide nor hair of me on YouTube. There are no pre-made videos. There's no other lives. I am still in the heart of winter and really needing it. So it's been amazing. Hello, Jenner. Is it Jenner? Yeah. Hello, Jenner and Cheryl. Hello, hello. Folsom, California. Big love to you back. And is it South Dakota? Hello, hello. Yay. I'm here in Southern California in the mountains. It's a beautiful day. It's hella cold. We have a lot of snow still on the ground, but it's like that. It's been melting and freezing and melting and freezing. So it's hard snow. It's lethal snow because everything is icy and patchy and it's like slip and slide, but it's beautiful. Hello, Belly Diva. Hello. Catherine. Hello. Emily's here. Hello, Sheba. Michelle. Oh, it's so good to see all these names. It's been a hot minute, I gotta say. A month. It's been a month. So, hello. We're here to talk about, I should have gotten cough drops. I'm not sick, but my, I think just the dryness of the heater and of the fireplace, which has been lovely, but also, holy cow, so drying. Hello, Gina and Aisha. Hello. What are we talking about today? We're talking about the January box today, and it is the Nest of Manifestation spell box. There has been a posting, at least last I saw only one. I haven't been on the forum, I think, in the last several days, but someone posted a beautiful image of their altar and their nest and the way they put it together. Beautiful. So those of you who are still making them, I would love to see more photos. They're beautiful. I don't have mine here because mine is on the altar, but we posted photos of that. So those photos are somewhere. They're around. They're on the listing. For those of you who did not get the box, those photos are there. This is the sample, which isn't really a really cool sample anymore because when I made the deep dive video, I created this just to give you an example of what you wanted to get in terms of netting so that you can put things in here. This one has got quite a few little things in there as an example. So things don't necessarily come out when you have the netting this way. But mine is covered with things. It's filled with things. And so the pictures are somewhere. You'll see them somewhere on social media. Ditch Witch is listening and driving. Wonderful. I'm glad that you're listening. White Wolf Witch, hello from the Netherlands. Beautiful. Elsbeth, hi. I'm so glad you're here. Not unpacked yet. Just arrived today. Wonderful. Where are you arriving from? I don't know. I'm so out of touch with all of you. I don't know what's going on in your lives. It's kind of a sad story. I miss all these stories and connections that we've had. I don't know when I'm going to be back yet for the Tuesday lives and the Friday meditations, because we need to get the website done and we need to get other things launched and ready. So that is the first and only priority. So let's do this. I'm going to give you a couple of just minor announcements, and then let's talk about the spell and how you are all doing. This box is still available. I think we have like 9 left to sell if you were not subscribed and you wanted the box. For those of you who did get the box and there was something missing from your box, you will get it in the next box that's being shipped out in the next couple of weeks for February, because no one got the patchouli pouch. Now, if you bought it as a single box, you're getting the patchouli pouch. So for those of you who are subscribed, I'm so sorry. That patchouli pouch will go out in the February box. So just so that you know. What else is happening? Emily just posted the link to, Scotland, beautiful. She just posted the link to the the box. Oh my God. Oh, I love it. I love it. Okay. Announcements. For those Lilith lovers, there's going to be an email sent out to everybody about Lilith coming up soon. I'm hoping to get it out. I really wanted to get it out by Friday, but I want to make a video and kind of send the message out via a video, so that might take a little longer, but that's where we're at. We are going to do a Lilith Coven. It's going to be an intensive learning coven for a first year cycle. The intention here is for it to be a 3-year experience for those who want to move on into deeper work with her in year 2 and year 3. That will launch in March. So I'm going to start sending out information about that. It is a big commitment. It is not for everybody. So that's happening. The other thing is that we are going to be launching I don't know what I want to call it yet, because I don't want to reveal the name yet. I don't know. We're going to be launching something big. How's that? For those of you who've been wanting deeper learning, like really like a structured pattern of learning witchcraft, that's going to be launching soon. And that's it. Right now I have no information on anything else. That's it. Let's talk about the Nest manifestation spell. Let's talk about all of those things. Let me see what's happening here, Miss Juanita. I love the belly diva. Since it's the only spell I'm doing this year, I am still crafting this on paper. Beautiful, because it's such a big spell. I have to consolidate my correspondences. Yes. And so definitely I want to say, take your time with this spell, because it takes some consideration. I'm asking you all to consolidate or to distill down to 1, 2, maybe 3 things. What it is that you really most want to feel and manifest for yourself this year. Not a list of a bunch of resolutions, but one thing. Here's the thing. The only reason I'm saying 1, 2, or 3, and in the video that I sent out was 5 things, is because I feel like I have to compensate for the anxiety that I'm going to get pushback from in terms of, oh my God, just one thing. But let's push ourselves. Just one thing. When we did our live moon ritual coven ritual last weekend, right? It was last Saturday for the new moon. It was about this. Pick the one thing. How do you most want to feel this year? And what would that, and if that's how you felt this year, right? If you were able to feel this one thing that you really want to be in the feels of for this year, what would you move like in the world? What would your life be? How would you interact with the world around you? How would you manifest? How would you choose not to manifest? Like, how would you be moving in your world? What is that one word that would describe that thing? And then let that be your vision for the year, the thing that you manifest, the thing that you nurture, the thing that you focus on and use as a lens for everything else that you do. So for me, it's deep listening. That is my phrase for the year. The focus is really all about the deep listening. Before I move, before I do anything, before I make a decision, before I make that meal, before I decide to set my alarm for 4 o'clock in the morning as opposed to 5 or 6, what if I deeply listen to what my body and my soul are really needing right now? What would I set my alarm for? What would I eat? What would I do? How would I choose? Everything, all the goals that I may have in terms of what I want to achieve this year needs to go through the lens of the deep listening filter. That's just me. It could be anything for everyone. We had a meeting, team witchery, about this, and the phrase, because it's so beautiful, the words that came through, combining those, it's deep listening, wonder, and ease, like that. And I would love to, and we didn't really fully talk about this, but to go through everything that we do as a business and use those things as a filter. Is it filled with wonder? Is it filled with ease? Is it filled with deep listening? So this spell, the Nest manifestation spell, is about that. Choose the one thing. And then the beauty of this is that it's an entire year's worth of a spell. You can do herbs in here because it'll hold. But again, someone wanted to hang it on the wall. You can, but because I have, not in this one, I have herbs in mine. It, you know, there's dusty things that start to come out. So I have it sitting as a nest in the middle of my altar. It's a special altar just for mine that's surrounded right now. I think the photos that I sent out, it's surrounded because I've changed it out. So it's surrounded with cedar in the photo. Now I've got pine. And I still have the cinnamon, but things that will support that one thing. The paper you can use for sigils or for the word, tuck it in. You can tuck in the herbs. I've got crystals in mine. I did not stick cinnamon in mine, but I surrounded it with the cinnamon sticks because cinnamon is fast, it's fire, it's productive. I've got that in there. You can put all sorts of things, symbols. Mine's got a little key in there, a feather. So there's so many things that you can put. And then you can do this every day, which would be really amazing. Hold on, I have to drink water. And then at that altar, you can light a candle every night and sit for 5-10 minutes just to continue to activate it, but also for it to activate this in you. It's a conversation, right? It's a movement between the two of you. It's a relationship now that you're creating. This thing is moving and working with you. And so you sit at your altar 5 minutes a day. You light a candle, you get a really beautiful oil that would feel like it corresponds most with this intention. And then just dab a little oil in your finger, dab it on the top of your nest as a way to continue to keep the energy active, the fire going, that internal energetic fire. It's a beautiful way to keep the focus. It's a beautiful way to really anchor this intention in for yourself. And I'm telling you, at the end of this year, you're going to see just how influential this has been for you and how much movement, how much change or shift or deepening it's created for you in your life. It's a beautiful thing to do. I love this ritual. It's okay that you're late. No worries. There's always a replay, so you're good. Let me see what's happening. Yes, I read that. Hello, Jolmar. Hello. At first, this is Juanita saying, at first I was like, just 3 things. Now I get it. The big spell is only 2 things. Beautiful. Yeah, it's not easy to consolidate it down. It's not. But we're up to the challenge. I think too that it speaks to what winter is really about, which is a deepening. You know, I've talked about this. I think I sent out a newsletter about this. We've certainly talked about it with the Moon Ritual Coven. I don't know where else, you know, all these different places that I talk. That we're still in winter, you guys. Right? There is something culturally jarring about the fact that we have solstice, we have the Christmas and the Hanukkah holidays, all those holidays at the end of December. Winter hits, then we have New Year's, and it's like we had a week of winter where everything is kind of in that weird nebulous place between like the Christmas holiday in the Western culture and New Year's. There's that in between week where no one knows anything. They don't know what day it is. They don't know what month it is. They don't know anything. They're just kind of in this quiet, restful limbo, which is perfect. And then New Year's hits, and then we're off and running and forgetting that we are in the heart of winter. We're not supposed to be off and running yet. And so even this, with this box, taking time to really suss out what is really the intention here. What is it really that I want to distill everything down to? This is the work of winter. There's no rush here. It's supposed to be slow like this. There's supposed to be this very slow down pace so that we can be in the deep listening. That takes time. That takes less activity. That takes still saying a lot of no's to a lot of things. I'm not ready to go out and do all those things yet. I'm not ready to do this. Not yet. Maybe in the spring. You still protect this quietude because it's an important thing for renourishing, especially in the world that we live in, especially in the way that culturally we have created this season for ourselves, which is go, 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 go. Everyone go back to the gym. Everyone do all the goals. Where are you on your goals? Yeah. Have you lost all the weight? La, la. All those things that are super dysfunctional because it keeps you out of your body and it keeps you out of what the season is really calling for. Yeah. So take your time with with deciding and distilling. Sit with it, meditate with it, ask yourself, what is it that you most want to feel this year? How do you most want to be this year? What one word really encapsulates the vision for how you would be if this is how you were feeling for the whole year? That's not to say that you're not gonna have any other emotions, but it is to say that you're claiming how you want to be. And that's so, so important. That's a spell, right? It's a spell. All right, I see a lot of words. Let me see. Okay. Oh, I hold that vision for you, Elena. Yeah. So we said that to each other in our moon ritual coven ritual, blah blah blah, live ritual last Saturday, and we did this as a team too at the Witches Box, where I shared what my vision was, and then everyone said back to me, "I hold that vision for you." We're holding this vision for each other. Very beautiful. Let's see. Oh, on the reels today. Oh, I haven't looked at the reels today. All right, so there you go. On the reels today, winter and hibernation. Beautiful. I'm glad that I talked about it today. Lauren Berg says, I recommend using a mind map to see all the feelings you want and connecting the feelings that relate to the other. Sorry. Excuse me. You will find that there is one overarching feeling that generates the others. Beautiful. That's a beautiful suggestion. Thank you for that. Jilmar says, such a challenge based on financial markets Q1. I mean, yes and yeah. Here's what I'm going to tell you about that for me personally. What do I want to say about that? It isn't even a matter of trust for me at this point right now in terms of like the financials and the quarters and those goals. Because if the soul isn't being tended to, it's not relevant, even though money is always relevant, right? So it's been an interesting balance. It's one of the reasons why we have not launched harvesting the nectar, or I'm sorry, harvesting the honey yet, because there's so much downloading for me in terms of what abundance truly is and how the dance with money isn't really even a direct dance with money at all. So even the deep listening with the markets and the quarters, yeah, same. Get ready, start, go. Yeah, it's very much get ready, start, go. Emily says, beautiful. I love the idea, Lawrence. Yeah, it's a beautiful idea. I'm going to write that down so I remember to do it. Beautiful. Del learns, I think. Does it matter what kind of witch you see yourself as to take this class you hinted at? No, not at all. Not at all. I have created a system. It's not a tradition, but it's a system and an approach so that anyone from any tradition and whoever's called can do it. Yeah. Belly Diva, Miss Juanita. In this crafting process, things are already manifesting for me. This is such a brilliant and beautiful box. I'm blessed to have received it. Thank you for saying that. It is, because this is what I love about this, because all these things are always multi-layered. It gives you all the experience of this crafting process. The spell is just as powerful as the preparation for the spell is. The preparation for the spell, the way that you do your deep personal inquiry about intention, and then you craft your intention, and then of course when you come up with an intention, that can bring up questions for yourself about why and how and who and all the things. That lead up process is just as powerful of a spell as the actual enactment of the spell itself. So you're getting that experience, which is so beautiful. It prepares you, it helps shift you. So much of what our spell work is about is shifting the way the energy moves either inside of you or in the world around you. And in order for that shift to really be effective, we really need to look at ourselves. We really need to look at the terrain and what it is that we're really seeking. So it's a really empowering process, but it's also, I think, a very educational process, because this is really the kind of preparation that you would do for any spell. Yes, there are some spells where I'm like walking around. I've talked about this before, where I always have a little bowl of bay leaves in different places. And so there are moments when it's like, I need to like blah, blah, blah. I write a little thing really quick. I don't even think about it. I light the bay leaf, I burn it, I whisper the prayer, the spell into the ethers. I move on and I go. Like, it's between going to the bathroom and moving to the kitchen. I do the spell. I don't even think about it. It's done. There are moments for those things, absolutely. And those are actually incredibly effective because it's so quick and so in alignment that that deserves its own conversation. But the spells that require really like shifting, because I want transformation, and transformation requires deep understanding about what you're working with and what you especially are bringing to the table, that it's a very beautiful beautiful way. And it's really, I think, the way most spells should be crafted. I don't like to should, but it's such an enriching process that it really behooves us to try it at least once to see how it works for you. And in that process, a lot will begin to shift already, for sure. Jilmar says, I manage my own rhythm within my home and gently remind my family and friends to find and make space for winter wonder in the midst of getting ready. Yeah, I mean, especially, yeah, if you're a householder and you have people in your home, everyone's got different rhythms, right? And what you'll find, and this is interesting, because we don't talk about this enough, but if we are that person in our family, the gentle reminders and the setting the pace in subtle ways is really priestessing the space, priestessing the pace of the family household, priestessing the way people come back and tune in, because they may not be on the same track as you. But if you're a space holder and you're clear about the way that you set your own pace, absolutely that will affect everyone around you in one way or another. It may not look exactly the way it looks like on you, but you're setting a tone, and that's very much a spiritual service that you're providing, even though it's just part of the role that you have. Beautiful. Belly says, I'm talking a lot today. No, it's fine. I decided before the new year I wasn't doing any spells this year because my magic has been all over the place. But then this box came, I understood why. Beautiful. Yeah. Yeah. And I'm glad you said that. You're not saying this, but you saying this kind of triggered a memory for me, in that I don't know where someone said this. This has been said often, so it's not one person specifically, but just recently this came up again, where there's this sense in the witchcraft community, maybe in the younger witchcraft community, where it's like, I'm not doing a lot of spells, I'm not really doing my witchcraft, I'm not really a witch right now because I'm not really casting spells. Witchcraft is so much more than spell work. There's no quota in terms of how much you should do. There are times when we just need a rest, or beautifully, we're just savoring all that is exactly as it is right now. You don't need to be doing spell works all the time. And I know this is not what you said, Juanita, at all, but that memory came up, because there's always this concern that comes up, like, I'm not doing enough, I'm not doing spells enough. And witchcraft is more than that. Witchcraft is a relationship. Witchcraft is a connection. And if where you are right now is being in your life, you're still a witch. You don't have to do 300 spells, a year. It's who you are. It's how you move in the world. It's how you see the world. It's a spiritual expression. So I just needed to put that in there. I don't know if anyone needed to hear that, but there it is. So true. It will happen when it's meant to. It's epic. Yes. Hello, Marie. Hello. How are you? I need more water. Oh, goodness. Any questions, though, about the process of putting the nest together, of any experiences that anyone else has had with their nest so far? I think I said this. We have I think we have, don't quote me for sure, but I think we have 9 of those boxes left. Emily has already posted the link to that if anyone wants to grab that. It's a beautiful spell. And it's a spell that allows for a lot of customization. You can create a chant so that every time you sit at your altar to kind of reactivate or re-engage with the nest, you say a chant to it, you sing to it. I have a friend who's got a beautiful voice, and she sings so much of her spell work. It's beautiful. Because it's unique to her, right? So you can do all sorts of things. You can add to this as you need to. It's not proprietary in any way. Excuse me. Let me think. I'm trying to think of what else I would add. Although, I sent you what I do, so I haven't really thought a whole lot in terms of what I would add to it. But yeah, you can make it your own in a really beautiful way. Jilmar says spells are words spoken. Yes, savor communication, conversations, etc., etc. Belly Dance or Bella Diva says I was doing too many spells because of just that. It was crazy and unorganized. I didn't have a strong foundation, which is why I wasn't doing any spells. I need to be a student. Beautiful, beautiful. Hello, Priestess of Wonderland. Welcome, welcome. It's so good to see all of your names. It's been a minute. What I'm finding in my own with my own spell is I find that when I sit with it, it's just a beautiful place of quiet. And I mean, I think that that's obviously the design and the energy behind it, because if the deep listening is happening, the quiet is also part of it. But it provides me with a really nourishing rest. Every time I sit there, it's just like, oh, I don't need to do anything. I can just be there. And then if something bubbles up, I listen. It's really, I've needed it. I've needed the nourishment in that way. And so it's been very sweet. So I do it too. I'm doing it too. The White Wolf Witch says, December and January, I go in hibernation. Yes, absolutely. Crone Wisdom Highlight says, I think, wait. Crone Wisdom Highlights, is it you, Mimsy? Is that you? I need to know because I haven't seen Mimsy's name in a long time. So I don't know if that's you or not, but Crone Wisdom Highlight says, I think it's connected to the internal beliefs of not being enough, not being good enough, not doing enough. Like you added from the book you suggested in November, I think it was. I don't even remember what book I suggested then. Priestess of Wonderland says, I love the nest spell. I have done one in the past when I moved to a new home where I added new twigs. Oh, beautiful. And items from the new land. Oh, beautiful. To the nest I already had. That's gorgeous. Jilmar says, preparing. Hi, Mimsy. Okay, I was like, where is Mimsy? Jilmar says, preparing and placing a plate of fruits and foods to enjoy throughout the day is a healing spell. Absolutely. Each of your meals is a healing spell, if you make it that way for yourself. There's, and it, you don't, and if it's, no, I don't need to say that. Yeah, like that. I'm really, my deep listening has led me to really make space for deep body healing. My body's just really tired. There's a lot of deficiency there. And so, yeah, every time I sit down to eat, it's just this bounty. It's also a moment of deep gratitude and pleasure. We don't give ourselves time for pleasure enough. And pleasure is such beautiful medicine. And it's also a way to really connect with just what exists in life in this moment. And so, yeah, each meal is just this beautiful moment of pleasure. It's been great, actually. The book that was suggested from your therapist. Oh, yes. Yes, patriarchal stress disorder. Okay, that's all I'm going to say about that right now. That is all I'm going to say about that right now. It's a book. And I'm not done with it because I've been reading something else that's more fluffy between, although it doesn't really feel like fluffy, but I've been reading something that's more fluffy in between because that book has just really very stirring, that book. I don't know that book is really a good recommendation for winter reading. I'm not going to lie. It stirs a lot. Cheryl says, the nest manifestation is so wonderful as I have many natural nests that have been collected. Oh, beautiful. A nest is basically a totem for me. Thank you for this box. Beautiful. Yes, someone wrote in about like a suggestion that it could have been cool to have instructed all of you to go out and find your own nest so you can use like a natural nest from nature, but not everyone lives in an environment where you can find a nest, right? So that's why I chose to send one out so that you had a base to work with. But gosh, if you're lucky enough to be able to find nests that fall or are no longer in use and you get to keep them, such a beautiful, I think a beautiful gift from nature. It's so beautiful to have those. Beautiful, beautiful. Marie says, been having sled runs, beautiful, with my dogs lately, finding myself out there on the ice through a forest, making stops for some tea and snacks for my dogs, taking sunny days for dog sledding. Beautiful. That's a beautiful life. Beautiful life. Dogs are so wonderful, aren't they? Mimsy says, my birthday is tomorrow. Oh my God, happy birthday, Mims. And I have found that your January box is exactly what I needed. Every box in some way is something that I didn't know I needed. Oh, beautiful. But the January box is always extra special. Beautiful. Wonderful. I think that typically, if I am not mistaken, typically the January box has always, well, not always, but for the most part been like a bath box. But we did a sacred bath box several months ago. I just kind of went a little out of, not that there's an official order, but yeah, this one came through really strongly. Like, this is what it needed to be. And in actuality, if you'll remember, I was actually going to do this. Was this true? Am I mixing my months up? I was actually going to do this box in December, but switched it out for something else. So I'm glad that it was perfect for January, I think. Yeah, thank you for that. Beautiful. Hi, Shiva. Beautiful, beautiful. So like that. The next box, I don't know if we're ready for any sneaky peeks, although I don't know that I need to give a sneaky peek, but because I think the jig is up. I think everyone knows exactly what the February box is. But the next box is a Lilith box. I'm so excited about it. I just yesterday went to Laura Ellison's house to pick up what she made for us, which is just, you know, as always, Laura at Your Sacred Life makes beautiful, just beautiful work. So I went down there and I picked them up. And so everything, just about everything for the box is done, because you're also going to get an art piece in this box that represents Lilith. I'm really excited about it, and that those are getting made. Yeah, and it's you're not going to get a whole lot of instruction in this box because the instruction is going to be in the video, and because there's a lot to say, but it's also kind of a box that I felt a little reticent about putting out there because I'm giving you such a small opening. There's so much with Lilith to consider and so much with Lilith to really prepare for. So really it's kind of like a beginner, a taster box. That's all it is. And then for those of you who want to go on and do the deeper work with Lilith in March, then we'll go in. It can be like a little beginning box for you for the work that we'll do for the Lilith Coven. So like that. So yeah, Lilith for February. It's just the Lilith box. You want to talk about, this is in reference to what Juanita said earlier, you want to talk about just in the preparation, how things are shifting? She's been stirring for a long time, but she's really coming to the fore. And I have to say, it's an adventure with Lilith. I gotta say, it's an adventure. No, it's okay, Kim. You're good. Good. I love it. No worries about being late. Tell us about your experience with the nesting box so far, Melanie. We've been talking obviously for like the last 30 minutes, so you can watch it on the replay, but it's a lovely box. When can one sign up for the Lilith Coven? Yeah, that's the thing. So, no. Okay, well, number one, let me answer some questions really quick. You will be able, I made a bunch of extra Lilith boxes, or I haven't made them. They're going to be made. So for those of you who were not subscribed to get the February box, you will have an opportunity to buy the box. Is it a requirement to be part of the Coven? No. It's just a great way to have some tools. But you can make those tools on your own. So don't feel like, oh my God, I missed out. You'll have an opportunity to either get the box, or if you don't get the box, you're fine. We won't start the Coven until March 21st. I don't know when registration will open. I will be sending out, if not by Friday, then by Monday or Tuesday, a video newsletter to everybody to kind of give you a little bit of an idea of what this is about. Oh, this light. It's not for everybody. So if you're feeling called to her, it may not be the right time for you, and that's okay. It'll happen again. Because and this is what I wanted to talk about in the video, your life will be disrupted. That's all. I mean, there's no sugarcoating that. Your life will be disrupted. So and how your life will be disrupted who knows? It'll be between you and her. I don't know what that's going to look like. And so you need to be in a place in your life where there is enough ground and enough foundation for yourself that you can manage that. Whether that's because you have a therapist or you have a good support system or you have a good handle on things right now, you need to come from a place of stability because she will disrupt your life. And I know because I used to be this girl, that there are some of you out there who are like, woo, the harder, the darker, the better. This is about really exercising spiritual maturity. You need to have a foundation for yourself that's solid, that's rooted enough, that can handle disruption. There's no way to predict the way the disruption is going to happen. But she moves in this particular way. So be ready. So if this isn't the year for you, that's fine. That's totally fine. That's a really mature, responsible, self-caring choice. It may be next time. So that's okay. Because my vision for it and the vision that she's given is that it's a 3-year process. Certainly it can be longer, where the first year, it's like you hang out for the first year and then there's an initiation at the end of the year. And if you're done and complete there, you're done and complete there, you're cool. And then if there are those of you who are like, no, I'm being called, this is my path, then there's a second and third year for that. And you pay each year as you go with each year. It's not like you got to commit to 3 years or anything like that. And I won't ask you to commit to the second year at all until the end of the first, because you won't know. But what I'm really getting clarity about is it will be disruptive. And you need to be okay and ready for that. So there's that. I think that's the question that was asked. So there's that. Yes, with the Lilith and the stirrings. Michelle says, I've never worked with spirits or deities before. Do you have any resource on how to do this as a beginner going into it? Michelle, that's a good question. Let me think. Oh, God. I feel like there's a really good resource and I'm not pulling it through. Shit. Oh, Michelle, I'm so sorry. It's not coming through right now. If anyone has something, please post it. But I feel like there is very solidly a good book for this. But I cannot for the life of me think of what it is. So, Michelle, if it comes up while we're talking, I'll tell you. But if not, if anyone knows of anything, please post it. Oh, here we go. Thank you, Emily. Oh my God. Okay, I need to read ahead. So, yes, Michelle, I think Phoenix LaFay's book on what is remembered lives may be a good way. Beautiful. Thank you, Emily, because I'm like, there's a great book, but I can't think of it. And that's a great book. So there you go. There's your recommendation. And then Emily says, Lilith started stirring just over a year ago for me. And for ages, it was so challenging because the Morrigan is the deity I connect to and work with. I was worried about her not being happy with Lilith. Oh, that's interesting. Thankfully, I haven't had that issue, which I'm glad. Let's see. Del learns, or Daw learns? I'm going to just pretend it's Daw learns. Do I need to believe in Lilith? It's not that you need to believe in Lilith, but you need to feel that you're called, that she's calling you. She's been making an appearance for many people for a while, where people who are like, what I have it, like with an example is Emily. She's got a deity that she works very intimately with. I have a deity that I work very intimately with. I didn't think it was going to be Lilith, but Lilith has been stirring for a while and she's coming up a lot more and more and more. And so, like that. Kim says, I'm loving the vibe of our January box. I can't wait to create my nest. What a great idea. Never seen anything like this. Win-win. Beautiful. Memsy says, sometimes those disruptive influences are a necessity to kick someone in the keister. Yeah, or shift you the way you really deeply have wanted to be shifted, but have been afraid to, right? Like, that's the thing. Priestess of Wonderland says, in a nutshell, could you give a brief description of Hekate versus Lilith? Because Hekate feels a little like that to me. But now maybe I'm wondering if it's Lilith all along. That's a great question. A description of Hekate versus Lilith. I'm going to give you the description based on my experience, right? My direct experience with both deities. Hecate feels, Hecate is a force, deeply powerful. She is the goddess of the witches. She's the goddess of magic. But she feels, and she comes across for me as a very structured, very concise and clear way of moving in the world. There's an organization. This is where the disruption comes with Lilith for me. There's an organization around the way Hecate moves and is established that can still be very disruptive, can still come in and just shake your ground when she needs to wake your ass up, for sure. But it's much more, it feels much more structured and almost concise compared to Lilith. Lilith is messy as fuck. Lilith is very primordial. Lilith stirs in the deeper parts of our making in a way that just dismantles, because this is what makes her so disruptive. We are all here enculturated. I think probably very likely every single one of us on this stream has been very enculturated into Western culture. It's a very particular way of doing things. Even if we feel like, oh, I'm liberated and I'm a feminist and I don't work the way that the world works, I'm kind of on the fringe. Even if you feel that way about yourself, and it's true about yourself, we are still very heavily dressed in the vestiges of Western culture. And she is before that. She is messy in that this is about the soft, messy animal of your body, right? That part of you that is just in that core naturalness. She works in that place. And so it can feel very messy, it can feel very disruptive, and it can feel very unstructured because, and this is the other thing that I'll speak to in the email, because her energy stream is very murky. There is a very clear understanding of Hecate culturally, even for those who don't worship Hecate, even for those who don't consider themselves witches. The history of Hecate in anthropological cultural history is very specific. Lilith is dealing with millennia of malignment. She's a demon, she's not, she was cast out, she kills children. All of these things are still in that soup, along with she's a goddess, she's a liberator. She's not the first feminist, she was one of the many feminists, right? So she's got a very murky energy stream, and because of that, there is disruption there that's very that's just much more disorganized than what I would experience with Hecate. And then obviously in terms of correspondences are different, they're different culturally and all sorts of things. But for me, the direct experience is that way. That's the difference between the two. I'm hoping that makes sense. Hold on. Let me go back because I missed a lot of things. Okay, I did that. Let me know, Priestess of Wonderland, if that's clear. Melanie says, I had to sell my house and move somewhere I didn't want to go. I've been resisting unpacking and settling in, and it's been really draining. The nest ritual opened me up to my new road. Oh, I'm so glad to hear that, Melanie. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. I know you have mentioned books, but I can't remember either. Okay, well, Emily's got us. Beautiful. Ooh, and Jason Mankey and Estrella. Oh, so Estrella, I think it was Estrella who sent it to me. It was because she reached out to me. Estrella sent me their new book. I need to post pictures because I got their book, and I got a beautiful like little love packet of all these different magical things that I need to take photos of so we can post. But I haven't read the book yet, but I'm excited to read it. Crone, yes, add Morrigan in the distinction between. I cannot add the Morrigan for maybe Emily can speak to this a little bit. I have very briefly, only very cursorily, that's not a word, worked with the Morrigan. It's not a movement or an energy force that I really am very familiar with. I know we did a Morrigan box a while ago because we had 2 Morrigan lovers here in the team. But maybe someone else can speak to that because I don't feel equipped to answer that at all. Petra Hi, Petra. Welcome. Petra just bumbled in. Ironically, Lilith has been everywhere in front of mind for a year now, and I finally have the foundation and support to meet her. Beautiful. Um, oh, yeah, yeah, I skipped. Yes, there will be a single box purchase for sure. Melanie, how do you know when a deity is stirring? What happens and how do you know who it is? I think that the name comes up often. Stories about them comes up often. Um, for me personally, it's the things that come up that tell me who it is. When it's things related to value, when it's things related to, interestingly enough, because once you become really intimate with a deity, those definitions of who we think they are become deeper and deeper and wider and wider. So, one of the things that I know, for instance, I work very intimately with Lakshmi. When I know Lakshmi is speaking, there's or moving or stirring for me, a lot of stuff comes up around respect and self-respect, but also respect from others and respect of others. That comes up a lot. But that awareness that it's her for me, has come after many years of working with her, because she at first really presented very strongly about anytime it was about value, anytime it was about abundance that had nothing to do with money, but the deeper, realm of abundance was Lakshmi. With Lilith, it's that the name, the visual, the stories, the multiplicity of stories, and then also, this happened earlier last year when I really wasn't doing anything dealing with her at all. The dreaming and the obsessiveness for me around the story of the Garden of Eden and dismantling that story just became a thing that kept coming up for me. That's totally her, because the story is really about her in many ways. So that's how I've known. I know that there are people who keep getting dreams where someone's showing up and it's really difficult to identify who it is. Ask. Go back in over and over and over again and say, I need a name. Can you give me a name? Who are you? And there will be times when you will linger in the not being answered for a while because they don't want you to know yet. It's not that they don't want you to know, but they want you to listen deeper instead of the default of, I just gave you a name. But ask. Go into the dream time and ask. Ask at your altar, ask in your meditations, and you will get a name. It takes a while. Sometimes it takes a while, and sometimes it's almost immediate. Like that. Okay. So your name is Deborah. Hi, Deborah. I have gone through what you say in the past 4 years. I feel that I'm called to understand how I am supposed to practice. I want to do ceremonial magic but feel lost. I am not a teacher of ceremonial magic. But what I will say about ceremonial magic is that it's great in the sense that there is very structured, very concrete. You do this A, B, C, D, and E. There are books. There are probably really great books out there on ceremonial magic. I don't know. I need more water. I don't know of any. So if any of my deeper occultists that are listening can share, what good books might be out there in terms of ceremonial magic, that would be a great help. Emily says Hekate, I can never say it right because I want to say it in Spanish. Hekate has been around with me for a few years and it reminds me occasionally, but was like, okay, I'll step back when I said, no, I'm going to just focus on the Morrigan for a while. And you can do that. That's an important thing to really pay attention to, that she did that. You can say, hey, I'm not ready right now. I want to really focus on this. Because boundaries and healthy relationship dynamic are translate. They are important in human to human relationship, and they're important in human to spirit relationship and human to deity relationship. So you can say, I'm not ready right now, or I'm going to be here for a minute. I'll come back. You can do that. And Emily says, yes, I agree. Hecate is a force, but it's more Saturnian. Yes, beautifully said. Whereas Lilith feels more like Pluto. Thank you for that. That's a great analogy, or comparison. And the Morrigan is more like Mars for me. I'm gonna I'm going to trust, Emily, that you're going to continue to explain that. Because, wait, okay. Priestess of Wonderland says absolutely wonderful description. Thank you, that is so helpful. Beautiful, Michelle. Okay, beautiful. Emily then continues to say the planetary analogies are the most succinct ways I can describe each, at least in written form. And if you don't do astrology and you're intrigued, look into the archetype of those planets. Okay, let me go back to what you said. Mars is very warlike, very masculine, very Aries, very directed, right? Very first one out the door. So that would relate to the Morrigan, definitely. Hold on, because I've lost my place. I was doing so good too, right? But now I've lost my place. Marie says, it's hard to know which deity tries to come through. It takes time to pinpoint who it might be. I have slowly been answering to Hekate now after years of feeling these vibes. Yeah, and there's no timetable. Do you know what I mean? I mean, if there's a timetable, you're going to be told there's a timetable. But relationships take time. It's not like you're going to hear it's Hekate and then like in the month you're going to be like married, like you're going to have no. There's a how do you say it? There's an ongoing flowing thread that develops over time that has its own clock, its own pace, its own parameters for intimacy. So you might be seeing someone dance around you for years, until one day you're just ready to look, and that's okay. There is, I don't talk about this a lot. I know that I've mentioned this before. There is a system and a deity that has been waiting and knocking at my door for a very long time. And it just doesn't feel right. It just doesn't, it's not that it doesn't feel right like it's malevolent. It doesn't feel right for me and how I want to move in the world, which is very interesting. And over time that may change. Over time I may change my mind around that. But there has always been something like, I see you and I honor you. I get that there's a connection here, but it's just not where I'm at. For years. I mean, when I say years, I'm talking about decades. So it's a relationship where you are also sovereign in the relationship. You're not at the will and mercy of just anything, right? It's not the same type of relationship that we have or that we've been taught in Judeo-Christian philosophy, where like you need to prostrate yourself and you are lowly before this great being. You are sovereign as well, and you can say, I appreciate, but I'm not there. So that's an important thing to remember. Always respectfully, please, always respectfully, but it's possible, and if you feel that it needs to happen. Jenner says, I'm a secular agnostic. Oh, it popped. Hold on a second. Where did Jenner go? Here we go. I'm a secular agnostic person. However, I am certainly deity curious. The Morrigan called to me before, and lately Lilith, Lou, Mary Magdalene. What does a practice working with archetype look like? So you guys are like bringing the good questions today. You always bring the good questions, but this is a juicy one. Let me read it again. What does a practice working with archetypes look like? Well, it can look many different ways, number one. Number two, if you're agnostic and secular, the agnostic leaves room, which sounds like you're leaving room for the possibility. I don't make a lot of distinction. I know people are going to have a meltdown if they hear me say this, but this is what it is. I don't make a lot of big distinctions between archetypes and deity. They are different. They are absolutely different, but I don't make the distinction, because if you are tapping into acknowledging and seeking to work with an archetype, you are opening yourself to an interaction with an energy stream. And that energy stream may be the deity itself. The deity holds the full energetic signature of that archetype. Do you know what I mean? So I don't get wrapped up in the whole like it's different, it's not, it's all to me, they flow and they weave and they are the same in a really beautiful way. Most of the time, there are archetypes for things like the carpenter archetype and the psychologist archetype and blah blah blah. Yes, but when we're talking about a primordial, liberated animal entity that is Lilith, there is an archetype there that is inside the greater scope of this entity that is Lilith, as an example. So I would approach the practices very similarly, at least initially. As you grow in intimacy and relationship with a deity, that relationship becomes much more refined and detailed, so that there are specific types of offerings, there are specific types of rituals, spells, interactions, workings, ways you would petition and ways you wouldn't. So when you get to that place, it splits, right, in terms of what those practices look like. But at the beginning, it's the same for me. And so how would you begin a practice? I would get very clear. I'm just gonna rattle things off, not in any particular order, so just work with it as you can. Very clear about what the archetype is, and do the cerebral work around what that archetype is. And this is part of the practice. What is the archetype? What are the characteristics of the archetype? How does that energy move in the world in different people? Because different people inhabit or hold the signature of multiple archetypes. We each work in and express multiple different types of archetypes in our lives. We're not just one thing. So how does that archetype, like what are the characteristics of the archetype? How does that archetype move in the world? What are different examples in the world of people who are representative of that archetype? Is there a tarot, a major arcana tarot card that represents that archetype? Usually yes, because that whole first part of the deck is kind of meant to be, I don't think that it is, because obviously we have many different archetypes, but a pretty comprehensive kind of broad stroke representation of the major archetypes in the world. Get cerebral, like get researchy about like what kind of energy does this archetype represent and how does it manifest in the world, and what are examples of that. And then as a practice, once you have this, you start to do different smaller things as your practice, where you research within yourself, how do I express this archetype? Do I? What is the draw that I have to this archetype? Who would I be if I was a full embodiment of this archetype? Do meditation around that, where you allow yourself to sit in that energy. Once you have a flavor of what it is, sitting with it, where you try it on like an outfit, or you meld with it. How do you move now if you're taking on this energy? How do you speak? What do you say? What kind of work do you do? How do you make choices in your relationship from the place of this archetype? Yeah, that begins to kind of stretch you out energetically, so that you have a more visceral experience of what the archetype is. So those are just examples of like the entry point, because you're establishing a relationship with a particular energy stream. And if you desire to take that on, you're now doing exercises to embody that movement of energy, to see how that alters your life or how you change in the world around that. Does that make sense? And then you can, let me think, secular, agnostic, I don't know. I will then begin to approach it in a very animistic way. That archetype is a living energy stream in the world. We're all feeding it in some way or another, especially if it's a very common archetype. And so then I create an altar to it, and I treat it as its own entity. You don't have to treat it as a deity, but it's its own living stream. It's informing all of us. We are feeding it. There's a feedback loop going on. So I would create an altar to it, and then sit and meditate and enter into communication, where for me that looks like I either sit in meditation and open and wait to receive something, or I do a shamanic journey to go meet it, and then we interact with each other, because then you start to develop a relationship. And the way that an archetype may speak to you will probably very likely not be in actual words. It may be in visions and sensations and imagery, right? And feelings. And so then you begin to establish a common language together. Does that make sense? I'm going into like a lot. This is like way beyond the scope, but let me know if that gives you an answer that you can work with. Okay. Let me go back. Yeah, let me know if that gives you something to work with. Okay. Laurenberg, thank you so much for the book referral. Emily says, yes, I would also say that they all have elements like the Morrigan is like Pluto, as she's, I can never say the names, the Bab, is it the Bab? And the Banshee is the Psychopomp, but so is Hekate as well. The Morrigan has so many aspects. She is the very fiery, but Lilith is Mars-like as well because she speaks to the feminine sexuality and sensuality. There's a lot of overlap between them. Yeah, there's a lot of overlap between them. And this is also why, particularly with these three, this is also why, and also there's a lot of overlap between Lilith and Kali. This is why over time, the practices that we do and the intimate relationship that we begin to develop allows us to then begin to get very refined in our ability to sense the different flavors. Yes, Mars, yes, Pluto, but there's a particular way that it's expressed. There's a particular place that comes from. And so you begin to know, like for instance, if you had friends that were triplets, they probably speak the same. They sometimes, if they like it, they dress the same, but over time you get to know them, and the very minutia, like the differences that are so teeny, begin to come up to the surface so that you can identify one as opposed to the other. It's in the intimacy of the relationship that makes it easier for you to understand, oh, there's a lot of distinction here, even if on the surface they appear to be very, 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 very similar. The relationship is the key. Juanita says, Hekate is helping me deprogram my toxic Christianity indoctrination. I need more divine feminine energy. Beautiful. Emily says, it's a basic analogy really because I can't speak and I have to write, but yes, I would say each have a Uranian element to all three as well, because they do cause that which is unstable to be. Oh, that's beautifully said. Completely turned upside down. Yes, no, that's beautifully said. Marie says, my daughter has answered her call for Lilith recently. I am proud of how she goes. Oh God, I lost it. Here we go. I am proud of how she goes through with her practice. I am noticing that she no longer needs you. It's such a hard time. She will always need you in some way. It's just maybe different and shifting, but oh, I felt that for you. Okay, Current Wisdom Highlight says the idea of boundaries might be more conscious in mainstream culture of the United States, but the understanding and integration has not completely been accepted, like not feeling good enough, for sure. Melanie says, can we choose who we want to work with to help with current issues? Yes, absolutely. And do they choose us? My life is unmoored and chaotic. I'd like some peace and order. Who would I seek? Bridget, Morrigan. Okay, let me just answer them one at a time. Yes, you can choose who to work with based on current issues. Absolutely. With respect, right? But yes. And do they choose us? And sometimes they choose us. So both are true. Sometimes we are chosen, and sometimes we choose who we need to work with in the moment. However, this is what I'm going to say. Choosing who we want to work with in the moment needs to be a respectful approach. It's not like you walk into like a liquor store, like a convenience store. It's like, oh, today I need so-and-so, and today I need so-and-so, and you haven't established a relationship. There needs to be some sort of like approach, some sort of honoring. I'm seeking to work with you. I'm moving through this phase in my life. I need specific things. Can we work together? There needs to be some sort of respectful approach. The other thing I will say to you is this is a perspective and an experience that I have more from my other lineage than my witchcraft lineage. To me, it's all witchcraft, but I'm like entering my 8th year of studies and devotion in the Sri Vidya Tantra tradition. And in that lineage, you work with many deities, but at one point, the one, it's called an Ishta Devata, but for you, it could be your patron deity, the one that you've dedicated yourself to. There becomes a point where that one, who is a very specific energy stream, who, you know, is one thing as opposed to the other, what the other deities are, there comes a moment in that relationship where that deity is all things. They do and they provide and they move for you for all things that you need in your life. So there is that as well, where, I don't know, what is a good example? Let's say Caradwyn. Caradwyn is healing. Caradwyn is the hearth. And you've been working with her, but you suddenly are like, I really need a lot of spiritual support and spiritual magic in business, something that's so like completely away from potions and healing and alchemy and kitchen and hearth, right? If you've established enough of a relationship, enough doesn't sound like a right word, because it should not, it does not, and it's not meant to connote worthiness, but once you've established, like, you are the one, I'm devoted to you, we are in a relationship that is sacred and holy, and I know that I've been called, but I also claim you by you. You can bring those things that feel like they're not in correspondence to what she holds and stands for in her energy stream. You can still bring those things to her, and she will help you with those things, right? So you don't have to like go through like the book of, well, today it's money, so who do I work with money, and today it's something else, and who do I work with that thing. If you have established a relationship with a particular deity, regardless of what their common broad stroke correspondences or energy movement is, they are your person. They become that umbrella, and you can go to them for all the things that is possible in that relationship. Now, if you don't have that relationship with any particular deity, then you can go to someone who can deal with the certain thing, and then engage in them, but do not engage in them with like a one and done, like, tonight we're going to do a spell with so and so, and then tomorrow, I don't know, I'm never going to look back again. Give it 6 months, give it a year, dedicate time to really go into the depth of what this issue is and go into the depth of who they are. Yeah? Okay. Now it's getting messy on my little chat box. Okay. Crone Wisdom Highlight says, understanding how you should be able to express what is acceptable boundaries for you is still met with resistance, especially for women, and is tied in the idea that women are supposed to be. Absolutely. I mean, look, at least in the United States, I don't know that I would ever lump poor Canada with what we do here in the United States. We're the United States of America as like the leader of what it is that Western culture is supposed to be, is deeply dysfunctional, and we're regressing by the day. Boundary setting, where it had a massive surge. You young folks don't know this. You think that everything is new right now, but it's not. It had a massive surge in the 80s. We started with like, what are boundaries? How do we extricate ourselves out of codependent relationships? How to break away from being in enabling relationships. We started that work 30 some odd, or maybe 40 years ago. And there was a surge in health. I think that we're regressing at this point. The reasons why, I can't tell you right now. I really don't know. When I get out of my feels around it, I can probably intellectually analyze it. But boundary setting is still critical to learn, and it's always something that gets a pushback. Here's what I'm going to say, because this comes up. If you are in a relationship where boundary setting hasn't been the norm, and you start to learn how to set boundaries for yourself, you will get pushback because you're changing the gameplay. And the other person may not understand what the hell's going on, and they're like, wait, you used to like blah blah blah, and now suddenly we can't, or you can, or you won't, or blah blah blah. There will always be a little pushback. The people that you can tell in your life that are the healthy ones, or the ones that can work with you, are the ones who might push back and say, I don't like it, but let's keep talking about it because maybe we can work something out, or they'll adjust after the discomfort fades. Yeah. And then there are those who will continue to push back and berate you and become abusive about it, become rejectful about it, become manipulative about it. And then in your personal life, that's when you need to make a choice about, I may have to remove myself from this interaction because my boundaries aren't being respected and it's a bigger issue. It's harmful to my well-being. So I think that in this country, there is we're regressing in that area in a really, really big way, and in broad ways that are more than just the interpersonal, more than the interpersonal relationships, right? More than just, I said no to doing that thing with you and you keep pushing me to do it. More than that, because when we talk about politically, the fact that women still don't have, not only still don't have, but have had more rights taken from what they can and cannot do with their bodies, there is a massive and egregious move towards not respecting a person's personal sovereignty when it comes to boundary setting. So yes to all of that. It's something to always keep in mind and know that that's what you're working with and you're fighting against. Choosing, and we talk about so many different things on these, don't we? Choosing who you choose to allow in your world in this way becomes very critical, even more critical than it's ever been as we move forward in this time. Oh, Denise, you're welcome. I needed to hear your words, especially what you said about the amount of spells casted determining if, oh, I'm glad. I knew there was someone out there determining if you are a witch. Thank you for being the messenger of what I needed. It's my honor. Thank you for saying that. Okay. Oh, hello. I'm so grateful for these lives. I appreciate the energy, time, and knowledge you bring. You're welcome. It's such a pleasure for me. It really is. Bave. I can't pronounce anything. Bave. Though it's a Welsh thing, right? Because those Welsh words, man, they defy all logic and reason for me. Oh my goodness. Yeah, a lot of deities overlap. Emily says the Morrigan is complex as well because the Morrigan or the Morrigu is one as well as three sisters. Yes. Okay, hold on, I'm going to read this out loud even though it's to Melanie. This is Emily to Melanie that says, I do think if you get chosen or you choose who resonates the most for you, that is best. Definitely get to know the deity, research and honor the deity. Yes, beautiful. Skip me. And then she goes on to say, I do think Hekate would be really supportive for you if you feel there is chaos. Catherine says, I have worked with Freya for a while now. I felt a strong, I'm going to assume that I felt a strong call that I had to answer. Beautiful. No, got it. You can tell we're getting late into this because I'm getting hungry. Melanie, I think Bridget has been the one calling me, or she resonates the most. I just don't know how to translate that to concrete actions, routines, etc. I know this always sounds so, I just need to write it down. I know this always sounds so nebulous and so ephemeral when I talk about these things, because we need concrete, like, what do I do? What is step 1? What is step 2? What is step 3? So I'm just going to riff for you, Melanie. Get a statue for her. Get some kind of iconography, her image or a statue. The reason for that is because it gives it gives us a focal point. The beauty of iconography is that we consecrate it, and then it becomes its own portal for channeling that energy. It becomes an anchor, not an anchor in a trapping way, but an anchor in that she now has a place that can vibrate with her energy for you, because it's really for you. Yes, we take icons, or we take statues and imagery of our deity, and we give it offerings as a representation, as a way to express how we honor and how we love them and how devoted we are to them. But really, it's always it's a two-way, it's a feedback loop. It's a relationship. So just as much as that becomes a tool for you to like project onto it your devotion and your offerings and your love, it also becomes a focal point for you to get access and to understand and to feel her from. Yeah. So get that for yourself. Set up a beautiful altar. Do the intellectual stuff. Read about her. Read her stories. Read her history. Read how other people have worked with her. And then in terms of the practice, I know it doesn't sound sexy, and I know that it doesn't sound romantic, but if you have a little altar just for her, big, huge, it doesn't have to be little. It can be all sorts of different, whatever size works for you. Where you bring to it regularly things that remind you of her, things that maybe reflect how you feel about her, drawings, words, sigils, oracle cards that you pull from other decks that are also images of her to put there. If you sit there, I know it's not sexy, light a candle and meditate in front of her. Close your eyes, focus on your breath. Really, as we do with our guided meditations, work with your breath to release things as they come up, and just be. And the intention is, I'm just here with you for whatever. I'm open to whatever with you. You will begin to get guidance. Then, of course, there are rituals that you do. There are rituals that you can do where you call her in, where you specifically set the space to call her in to sit with you, and you either ask her for something or you petition her for something. But these are the things that begin to establish a relationship. For me, because I'm a slow girl and I love to be, I don't really get a sense of someone's energy if I'm immediately coming to them with a petition. So I do a lot of lead up. I'm just going to sit with you, girl, in the most respectful way. I'm going to sit here, and the intention of the space and the intention of the meditation and the intention of me sitting at this altar right now is to be with you. Be here now and let me just be with you. And then you pay attention. Have a journal with you always, always. Because if I sit and I start to feel a certain way, that's information. If I sit and I start getting imagery, that's information. It's a communication. But it takes time. Practice is about time. Practice is about repetition. I sit in because over time it starts to like, oh, there's a familiar feeling that keeps coming up. With Lilith, the more I sit with her, there's a familiar shift in the air in the room, right? When I'm with her. And it's familiar to me now because I've done it enough times where I'm like, this always happens when she's around, or when I'm sitting specifically with her. So the time and the repetition is what gives you the information that you need, and gives you the refinement of senses so that you begin to pick up on, oh, it wasn't just a shift in the temperature that one day. This shift in the temperature happens every single time. Or it doesn't happen every single time, but more often than not, it happens when I'm doing this. You begin to pick up on this information. So it's a slow, methodical weaving that happens. You're going to notice as well, the more you do that, your dreams change. You will get visitations in your dreams. The dream theme will shift. Messages will shift. Things start to happen. You can get information that way too. Write everything down, because over time, the writing it down, the repetition will give you a very clear and concise idea of, oh, it felt this way. It sounded this way. I had this emotion in that moment. That's her. You start to get it. And then when you're lucky, if it works this way for you, you'll receive conversation, and it'll be this ongoing, beautiful dialogue. The amount of time for development is necessary. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yes. Boundaries are so important. Melanie says, Emily, I also hear Hekate, but she intimidates me. She's so powerful and badass, but maybe that's what I need. That's what we all need, girl. That's what we all need. So let me say a word about this, because there are many different groups of people. I spoke to this earlier when I started to talk about Lilith. There are those of us, because I'm not necessarily this way anymore, but every once in a while that part of me comes up. There are those of us who are like, oh, she'll kick my ass. Oh, she'll completely dismantle my world. Oh my God, she's going to be like full on disruptor. I'm in, right? And that can be super irresponsible. That can be super cavalier. But there are those of us who find that to be really romantic and want that. And then there are those of us who are like, what? I don't need my life to be disrupted right now. What are you talking about, right? Both are good, both are fine. Those are just different reactions. There's no right way, because both can be immature and both can be very mature. It just depends on where you're at. I am no longer, see if I can say this right. I am no longer of the school of thought that it's not valid unless you got your ass completely chewed up and handed to you. There is a world in the spiritual, there is like a contingency in the spiritual world here where there is this feeling like it wasn't a valid contact. It wasn't a valid relationship with a deity, and unless that deity completely fucked your life. I don't think that that's a true story. I think that that's a very patriarchal idea of what transformation can be. It's not necessary, and it's all valid, and it all belongs. So I want to say this: they're all powerful, and when you come into relationship with a really powerful entity, a really powerful archetype as well, a very powerful energy stream, you are going to be shifted. Something is going to shift, because there is that whole scientific, and I don't know what it is, but I know what it is, philosophy or theory of resonance. When you are, what is the saying? What is the saying? I'm gonna get it wrong, but you're basically you're basically operating at the average of the 5 people around you, like their energy, their success level, their capacity. The average of that is where you are, right? It's similar to that. You hang out with people who like to do certain things. Eventually you begin to resonate with them and you do those things as well. So when you enter into a relationship with a deity, you're going to be altered in some way. I mean, unless you like touch it and go, but there is going to be something about you that shifts. It may be super subtle, but pervasive, which means it's powerful and changing. Or it may be super impacting and shocking and like, boom, it's a blast. Not in a like, ooh, it's a blast, but it's like a blast open of your doors, a blast open of your life, where it feels incredibly disruptive and jarring. It can be many different things. I say all that to say that if you're feeling a timidity around, you're really powerful, I don't know if I'm ready for this, ask for a gentle entry point. You can do that. This is why I said I don't believe anymore that it has to be this like explode my entire life kind of thing in order for it to be valid. I do this now where I say, listen, I want to work with you. I want to really dismantle this thing within me. I want to go through some big, deep transformational work, but I need to go gentle. I need for us to do this in a really gentle way, because I don't have the foundation or the ground to manage this shit right now. I know you're going to help me manage it, but let's go in gently. Mama likes it gentle. You know what I'm saying? You can ask for that. That is not going to keep away, however, the transformation that's coming. And transformation, what is transformation? It's a death. Something is going to end and something is going to come in. Things are going to change. You're going to shift. You might pivot. There is someone, I don't know if she's here right now. And I'm projecting because she didn't say this in these words, but I heard it and I knew it and I felt it. Working with Lilith would probably end the relationship that she was in. Right? And you might even know what the big dismantling that working with the deity is going to give you, but that still doesn't make it feel gentle. So there are ways to ask for what you need. I'm going to engage with you. You're very powerful. I know things are going to shift in my life in a way that's going to be really uncomfortable. Can we go gently? Can we go slowly? You might get to a place in the middle of all that where you're like, no, just bring it on. We've been going slow enough. Now we need to like burn it to the ground because I'm ready. You will have that experience how you need to. Okay, I'm going to stop because I think I went way off the topic. Okay, Mimsy says, fear is a big part of why society is regressing. Like when someone gets clean and sober, they're advised to get new friends because, yes, the old ones are not going to be happy with your change. Exactly that. Yes, and Emily, speaking to Melanie, says, I get that. Bridget might be a supportive figure. For me, I've experienced Mother Mary coming through a few times for me when I needed support as a mother and to be held in Mother Beautiful. Excuse me. Oh. We've been going for a while. Let's see. Oh, interesting. Belly Diva says, building a relationship with a deity takes time. I am learning that I have been approaching Hekate the same way I was approaching the Christian God. She's not like that. She's not going to smite me. Exactly. 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 That brings Kali to mind because I've worked with her pretty extensively and I love her. I don't know why she's not my predominant deity because the love for her is so deep for me. I get tearful every time I talk about her. Kali's a destroyer, man. People talk about Kali all the time about how she just comes in and she just smites your entire world. I have never encountered a fiercely loving mother ever. And that fierce love is like a lap that I have curled up in and taken refuge in many, many times. And yet the projected outward like idea of her is that she's out there fucking cutting heads off and drinking the blood, which she is. But that's an energetic, magical mystery of how she makes transformation. So we are reacting to this outward visual of her, which is horrific. She's got a very horrific visual. But I have never in my life felt more held and more comforted by a mother who I can just curl up in as I have with her. So you'll find that when you develop a deep relationship with a fierce goddess or fierce deity, that there can be that beautiful, comforting, loving connection. You can have that too. And the smiting that Kali may do has everything to do with what's best for you. Not I'm smiting you because you're not good enough, or I'm smiting you because you did something wrong, which is very Christian God. Crone Wisdom says, dreams. That's funny you brought it up. I had a very distinct dream yesterday that I was chatting with someone from the Witches Box community, not sure who or why, so whoever needs to be. Beautiful. Hugged. I got teary. Emily, yep, it's a patriarchal idea of those powerful deities, and that's why they demonize them because they have power. Exactly that. The real Bridget is powerful too, but in a different way. The Christians could dim. I think you meant couldn't dim. It skipped again. Hold on, trying to find where I left off. Emily, KO says, I once created a meditation with Hekate and it was intense and dark. I didn't expect the experience I received. All right, I'm going to show this. I don't know why it hid Juanita's. Oh, no, I don't want to hide. Sorry, that was loud. Show. Sorry, I accidentally was going to hit the hide button. Belly Diva says, she has brought structure into my chaotic life. She calls me out on my bullshit, but she's not scary. I think maybe it was trying to hide you because you said bullshit, but we can curse. I curse all you want. Crone Wisdom highlights. Mimsy says, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. When the teacher is ready, the student appears. Beautiful. Yes, they demonize Lilith for standing up for herself. Beautiful. Trying to blend a less resonant Christian life, which is a part of my soul's weaving, with a new relationship with witches and deities has been hard, I bet. So I'm new, lost, and stumbling life. That's okay. That's part of your process. Um, it is a path of deep healing and compassion for yourself. There's a lot there to dismantle and to reweave and to restory for yourself. It is not for the faint of heart. This is also part of, I think, what the challenges around Lilith is, because there will necessarily be a lot of dismantling about that overarching patriarchal Christian paradigm. It can be very confronting. Elena, I love how you clap and dust your hands. I'm done with this. Oh, I'm like, do I do that? I think I do that. Like how casino dealers leave the table. Oh, that's so fun. That's also, I think this is what you're talking about. It's also in, I don't know that it's official sign language, but when you train your dog, you should all train your dogs. They're happier when they know what needs to happen. In any case, talking about boundaries. When we had our dog, one of the ways that we communicated, all done, was like, there's no more food. I have nothing, no more snacks for you. So I'd go, all done. And he'd sadly get like, oh, there's no more snacks. But I think that's part of where that's also come from. Anyway. I've just taken control of it and made it my own. Let's see. Where am I? I love Kali too. Christopher Lovell, this is from Melanie, has created a beautiful image of Lilith. You should, I'm gonna write that down because let's talk about that. I have a little bit of insecurity. I feel like I need to explain it to all of you. Hold on, Christopher Lovell. And then soon we're gonna go because we've been on here for like a million hours. Where are you? Where's the comment? Christopher Lovell has created a beautiful image of Lilith. You should check it out, his artwork. I'm not sure you'll like it, but it's the first I've seen that doesn't demonize or beautiful. And Deborah says, I have found a way to reinterpret God. The programming of the society has made it impossible for me to walk away from it. I have found a way to have a different seeing. Oh, that's a beautiful way of putting that. A different seeing. Beautiful. Belly Diva says, my manifestation nest is a part of my Christian healing. Beautiful. Witches are not the devil. We are badasses. We so are. And my kitty cat is doing so perfectly. She's so good. She's beautiful. Okay. I mean, can you see? My hands are, here, this one. My hands are still a little jacked. But we went to the vet. She got a little manicure, so she got her little nails cut back a little bit because they were like razors. They were like out of control. But she's doing good. She's doing very, very good. Not sure if you missed it, but you asked. The quote is, you are like the 5 people you hang around with the most. Yes. Thank you for that. I did miss it. Ditch Witch says, I have loved Lilith long before I became a witch. She was the first goddess I really dug into, researched and learning. Beautiful. Cocoa butter. Cocoa butter, I'm also doing, I have a combo of like cocoa butter, shea butter, almond oil. Like I do a little blend because, you know, your girl's got to blend her things. But also I'm doing aloe vera to kind of redo the skin. Okay, really quick. Oh, I know. Emily, hold the phone. Emily just got a new kitten. I'm so outing you, but you put her all over Instagram. The cutest morsel of a kitten I have ever seen in my entire life. Every time I see it come up on Instagram, I want to die. It's so, so cute. Kali is a mountain mover, and I appreciate all I have experienced with her. She has moved people out of my house that were standing in my way, but did it so gracefully that no one even knew. She's just all the things. I miss it that you got a kitty. Oh, her name is Mia. Mia, she's so cute. Let me see if I have a picture of her. Wait, I want to say a couple of things, and I don't want to forget before we go. But I'm a proud mama. Oh gosh, where's a photo of her that you can see? It's not a good picture. Tell me if you can see this. Oh, you can see it. Wait, shadows. Look at her, she's so cute. She's got like a little, a little black cap. She's all white, and then her tail is black, and then her little toe beans, all of them are black. It's so cute. And then she's got like a little black freckle on one of her arms and a little black freckle on her side. She's the cutest thing ever. Your cat needs to co-host a stream. She's not, she's a stray. She's warmed up to like human handling, but she's still not into like, how cats like will lay on you like a baby. She's not down with that. I think the height just freaks her out. And she's a talker, which I need. I need talkers in my life. She like meows and she chirps and she does all sorts of sounds and she's amazing. But she's not into being photographed, and she's not, she's not pliable. But that's okay. She's wild and cute and lovely. Very affectionate. She went through her first heat that we know. I think she's like 10 months old. We went to the vet. The vet's like about 10 months. And when she was in heat, man, she was so affectionate. She was all up on us. And then after that, she's like, all right, I'm done. I don't need to be cuddling 24/7 anymore. Hold on. She's very teeny. She's not as teeny now. When we found her, she was like much smaller. She wasn't a kitten, but she was much smaller. Like she's at 6 pounds now, which is not big, but not small either. But she's growing up a little bit. Okay, hold on a second. There's a lot of talking. Precious, beautiful. Yes. What do I want to say? Oh God. What did I want to say before we end? Kali, amazing. Yes. Okay. Hold on. Let me try to remember. The nest. Let's bring it back to what we were here for. The nest of manifestation spell. Care for it. Almost like a pet. Not in the sense that yes, in the sense that it's like a pet. Love it. Nurture it. Feed it with oil, with your presence, with the candlelight. And let that be an alternative lesson in terms of how we cast spells. That yes, the fast and furious spell that works, awesome, because don't we all love that? But also the thing that we're nurturing, it becomes a representation of you. It becomes a representation of what you're creating in your life. And it weaves into that manifestation. It weaves in love, and it weaves in compassion, and it weaves in nurturing, which we all need on every level. It becomes a feedback loop. So this thing that you're creating for yourself becomes a nurturing thing for you, becomes a loving thing for you, becomes a compassionate thing for you. So I wanted to weave that in because I wanted to punctuate this, because we've been talking about a million other things. But for this particular spell, we also still have several of these boxes left if you didn't get one. So there's that. And there will be more information being sent out about Lilith, about working with her, about what that coven is going to be and how that's going to work, and about other offerings. I want to say this to you. If you're feeling like, oh, I want to be part of a working coven, but I don't know what that looks like, I don't really feel Lilith, there are other things that are going to be available to all of you that aren't related to her, that are still about deep work. So don't feel like you're missing out if you don't join this and it's not something that you're being called to. There are other things that are going to be happening. There's that. The video of the ritual that we did for the new moon will be going up today. So those of you who weren't able to participate will be able to do it. And it's okay that we're further into the moon cycle. It works now, so it's all good. What else do I need to tell you? Oh, I feel the need to tell you this. Do I need to feel the need? I don't feel it. No, I'm not going to tell you this. You'll hear about it in the deep dive video for Lilith, which will go out the beginning of February, which is just right around the corner, because literally we're on January 25th. I don't even know how we're here. Okay. That's it. That's all I think I have to say. Add oregano, essential oil for the cuts. Oh, good. Yeah. I have not done that, but I can do that for sure because I have oregano oil. Oregano oil is powerful stuff. But luckily they're healing because her nails have been trimmed, so she's not scratchy anymore, because it was like, or they like jump and they land on your thighs and then they start to slip off, so they grip. Oh my god, my thighs. The pain, it was awful. but clip, clip, it's all good. Let's see what else. Candlelight isn't an option. Can I use a battery powered light or something else for that to substitute? Good question. You can use battery powered light. You can't use incense either, can you? You can use battery powered light because the light is what's important. It's what it represents, and that works. Fire is great because of the energy it brings, but if you can't do an actual fire, add cinnamon to the space. If cinnamon is a great fire element. And then you can get super parasympathetic around, not parasympathetic, sympathetic with it, where you have imagery of fire or imagery of lit candles. You can do that too. Boom. There you go. There you go. Yeah, okay. All right, my loves. Thank you for hanging out with me. It's so good to hang out and talk. It's been like a whole month and I've missed you. Lots to talk about. Lots to talk about. I look out for an announcement. I'm probably not going to come back to do lives until March, probably. I know it's a long time away, but I'm like deeply committed to winter, but I'm also going to be traveling in March. I mean, no, I'm going to be traveling in February, so that'll make lives very, very difficult. So there's that as well. So just know that they're coming, just not for another month or so. And that's about it for me. Have a wonderful day. Stay warm if you're in cold places. Stay cool if you're in hot places. And I will see you soon. Bye.